The extended trailer for 1923 shows a few Yellowstone Easter eggs and hints at the show's plot and how the characters interact. It looks like many things are similar in the prequel trailer, but the show has found its way to distinguish it from Yellowstone. On that note, here's every Yellowstone Easter egg and story revealed in the 1923 trailer. We'll also look at unpopular opinions from Yellowstone fans. To start with, the timeline is different, which changes the plot a bit. In the Yellowstone prequel series, it's been 40 years since Margaret and James Dutton came to Paradise Valley in 1883 and started the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch.
Don't take the horse. Well, I figure I earned it.
He's running pretty big packs around here.
In the 1923 timeline, James's brother Jacob and his wife Cara Dutton run the ranch. At this time, Jacob and Cara Dutton face off against their rich new neighbor, Donald Whitfield, who wants to own the Dutton Ranch and the whole valley. And this is similar to what happened in the first season of Yellowstone. Based on the cast and plot of 1923, the prequel already looks like it could replace Yellowstone as Taylor Sheridan's most popular crime show on TV.
Oh, forget about the bath, baby. You can come climb Mama like a tree.
Since 1923 is about the lives and struggles of the first and second generations of the Dutton family, it has many similarities to Yellowstone. But hey, don't forget different people mean different stories. Coming up, Donald Whitfield is the new villain while a potential arrangement may be brewing. Donald Whitfield is a lot like Dan Jenkins, the rich real estate developer who was the main bad guy in the first season of Yellowstone. The biggest difference is that in 1923, the Duttons were not as powerful, and the ranch was not yet the largest cattle ranch in the country.
If they're any elephant when we find them, I don't want them.
Also, Donald Whitfield is doomed to fail, just like Dan Jenkins and the other groups in the early seasons of Yellowstone, because the Duttons clearly kept their land. Even though Whitfield's fate seems set in stone, his importance as a Yellowstone universe character will be decided by how he affects the Duttons as 1923's villain, just like Dan Jenkins. And then we see in the trailer how Elizabeth Strafford, a feisty young woman who's going to marry a Dutton, is shown for the first time. This is probably the show's first big mystery, and then things take an interesting turn when Donald tells Cara that he had bought the Strafford Ranch next to the Dutton property. At this point, Donald Whitfield's plan to buy the Strafford Ranch and Elizabeth Strafford's plans to marry into the Dutton family seem to be related. What's more, another corrupt lawman and introducing Cara Dutton as the new dangerous woman. Like John Dutton, Jacob uses his power as a lawman to protect his ranch, his family, and the land. He also knows that the war has already started, which John Dutton said in Yellowstone seasons 1 and 5. In fact, it looks like the main character of 1923 will be a Dutton patriarch who knows how to use the power of a badge, just like the main character of Yellowstone. In Yellowstone, John Dutton, a former livestock commissioner and governor of Montana, uses his power to get people to do what he wants. It seems like Jacob Dutton will do the same thing in 1923. The men aren't the only evil people in the show.
Can't hold it. Can't lead till we hire some guns and some hands.
Because it looks like the prequel introduced a character who could have matched Beth's level. Cara shows that the Dutton women were even more dangerous than Beth 100 years ago. Still, both play similar roles in their own series. They're both the classic Taylor Sheridan femme fatale.
At a hotel in New York, where they pipe hot water straight into the room. Turn the faucet on and it comes right out.
Smart and beautiful in a way that makes the Duttons' enemies afraid of them. But unlike Beth, Cara Dutton isn't limited by modern laws and can do whatever she wants in the frontier. This is shown in the 1923 trailer when Cara threatens to kill someone slowly and tells another person they have no rights on the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch. Lastly, we find out more about the Duttons, but some things remain the same. The men in the 1923 trailer, like the Duttons in Yellowstone, are both at war and hunting.
But it needs to be half horses.
All right. But don't give me lip about the horses. They are what they are.
As Casey's visions in the season 4 finale showed, his point of view is still shaped by his time as a soldier, which still haunts him. In season 5, ranch workers Ryan and Colby accidentally killed collared wolves from the nearby national park, which caused a lot of trouble for the ranch. Elsa Dutton's voice says in the 1923 trailer,
"I'm better off without them." Can any of them ride?
I got one can ride.
violence has always been a part of this family. This obviously means that his family has a long history of violence. When it comes to the Dutton's house in the 1923 trailer, it looks a lot like the one in Yellowstone, even though no one knows exactly when the house was built. It is a stark reminder that the Duttons have lived in Paradise Valley for over 100 years. The large stone foundation of the Dutton home in Yellowstone show that the family has been wealthy for generations. In 1923, they mostly showed that the Duttons were successful homesteaders and ranchers who came to Montana during the 1800s westward expansion. And now let's take a look at Yellowstone's 10 unpopular opinions from fans. First up, Rainwater is a good person. A person on Twitter said their favorite character is Thomas Rainwater because he uses the law to take back the tribe's stolen land instead of force. They say that Rainwater uses the same legal system that the white people use to take over tribal land. Even though Thomas Rainwater doesn't pick fights with the Duttons anymore, he hasn't been forgiven for what he did in the first season. When he wouldn't give John Dutton's stolen cattle back in a peaceful way, he killed Lee. During the fight, many people from his tribe died, including Monica's brother. Thomas is also partly to blame for the number of developers who ruined the land because he started it when he let his partners build casinos on the reservation, raising the land's prices. Up next, Rip is a bad foreman. John's favorite goon is Rip Wheeler, who's also a fan-favorite head cowboy, but it looks like some people don't agree with that. They think he blindly follows John Dutton and rarely puts the needs of the bunkhouse ahead of his own. They criticize his decision to fire Teeter by saying that a good lieutenant is someone who will challenge a boss's bad ideas. Even though it's not a popular opinion, their point is valid because Rip hasn't done a good job of running the bunkhouse since the first season. Also, Rip almost killed Walker, mostly because he never liked him, and also because he rules the bunkhouse with an iron fist. Rip is still a good ranch manager because he's always one step ahead of the many threats to the ranch, but he's not a good leader. Let's look at how Beth is a horrible person. Beth Dutton may be impulsive and loud, but it looks like she's not really considered that bad on Yellowstone. But some people online says she's evil to the point where they can't even stand her. For example, they say they understand why she hates Jamie, but why is it necessary to always show it every time she sees him? Beth is not very nice, but she's the most loyal of John Dutton's children and also very smart. She stood up for Monica when the store clerk was mean to her, and she even took Carter in when his father died, which shows how nice she can be. As for Jamie, Beth doesn't owe him any favors because he ruined her life and has shown that he will betray the family any chance he gets. Moving on to why John Dutton is a bad father. Someone on Reddit said that if John hadn't been such a terrorist to his kids when they were young, Beth could have gone to him for help. This means they're blaming John for the problems in the Dutton family. Even though John isn't the nicest to Jamie, the show doesn't show that he's an awful father. As a dad, John Dutton does everything he can to bring his kids closer together and keep them safe. He goes to the funeral for Casey's baby, and even though Monica doesn't like him, he comes to comfort Monica. So the fact that the Dutton family isn't perfect doesn't necessarily mean that John is a bad father. Finally, Jamie is not that bad. Many people think Jamie is the Dutton family's misunderstood hero. They say that they understand what he has done is pretty disgusting, but in the world he grew up in, it's not that bad. John Dutton may be a bad father, but most of the bad things Jamie has done have been his own choices and have nothing to do with John. For example, John didn't tell him to lie to Beth and make her have an unneeded hysterectomy. He also chose his murderous father over the family that raised him, and he slept with Sarah even though he knew she would hurt his family. That's a wrap for this video. What are you expecting to see in Yellowstone's prequel? Let us know in the comments below. Also, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like these. See you in the next one!